Hello. Hey, what's going on? Let's see, we'll play this. How are you doing? My name is John Skippy Limcool. This is a Plugin Guru live stream on Saturday. This is March 30th. And two cool new updates. Actually, a new product and a cool update came out this week. So I'm actually playing both of them at the same time. Plus, Mega Magic Pads is snuck in there. If you haven't seen it, I did a NOIRE video where I show the library, show how flexible it is, and then we make a patch using Mega Magic Pads. If you own the Contact version of Mega Magic Pads, they're on the website for you to download right now. 10 different, if we right click, there's 10 different, we could say Prancing with New Snow, 10 different multis that I've created that are, well, here, let me mute Omnisphere for a second. Right? And then we can combine Omnisphere 2.6, which has all of these awesome sounds that we've known and loved. They've been modified, programmed a little bit differently, but and this is just one component of this update to Omnisphere. It is a massive update. The arpeggiator is totally redone. There's a whole lot more hardware integration now. You have literally so many different synthesizers in hardware form you can connect to this and control. It's really exciting, really cool. There's a new mod source we're going to look at. We'll look at all of the things added to the update, as well as NOIRE in this video. So greetings to those of you in Scotland, I see, and JD and Russell and Sunny. Hello, my friend. Back at you, my friend. Yeah, right on. Anyway, also, just a reminder, because there is a business component to what I do. You guys help pay the bills. This is my 10th year of baking sounds. And I have all month, because I was gone in Europe for part of it. I just decided to have a month-long sale. It ends in tomorrow night, Sunday night. So 10-year anniversary sale ends tomorrow night. Also, ESC personal flavors. So many of you have written really great reviews. It's $29 right now for like an incredible number of patches. 5-star reviews. Everybody's reviews are really positive and favorable. It's super deeply programmed. So we're going to play with that some today. Since this is the last day of it being on sale for $29 before it goes to $39. Hey, Chris, how is NOIRE sounding? It's shame it's not on sale too. Yeah, you know, some people have, and I've thought about this myself for my own policies, where, you know, you release something. It's kind of funny when you release something, you put it on sale, you know, almost doesn't make sense. But that's one way to get lots of people excited with something. But a lot of companies don't. You know, Omnisphere, Spectrasonics has never had a sale ever on any of their products from them directly. You have to go through a music store supplier or something like that, and they will discount it sometimes a little bit, but not much. So, and if we were to just, let's do this, start with NOIRE, and then we'll spend the rest of the time with Omnisphere. NOIRE is a new library from Native Instruments. Let me do this. Let me make this go away. And let's go over here to just the basic pure. There's actually, and I forgot to really make a point of this in the video, there's actually, when you look at this in the browser, there are two different variations on NOIRE. There's pure and there's felt. And pure is what I used a lot. And this is a 9-foot Yamaha CFX. The retail on this piano is around $180,000. Neil Fromm's, who also did Una Corda and a number of other libraries that are in the famous pianos to choose from category, I guess you would say. They have done some amazing things. Produced this, created it. It's his piano that they sampled. The notes, if I go over here into the group editor, select by MIDI. Every note is a set of samples, and as you can see, it is 22 velocity layers deep. So when you're playing this piano, it has a huge amount of dynamic range before you start futzing with it. But there's also felt, and felt is a different kind of piano where they actually put a mechanical arm that comes down and puts felt in front of the hammers. So you can't get much of a whack from it. You can make it brighter, and you could shift it so that it's a little bit different tonality if you want. There is all sorts of controls here. We could add some shimmer, and we could add some bite to this, and that type of thing. So you can go there. They have all sorts of snapshots. So you can scoring, jazzy in concert, dusky, bright felt would be, I got it brighter than that. So yeah, if you have this bright, and if you bring up bite, you can really, but then the pure is more just a straight ahead piano without the felt in front of it. And you have even more control to say, make it brighter in color. Go to the EQ. Let's have the shimmer and bring up the body, but change it instead of body to either punch or bite. Let's say bite. And it's a whole different personality than so you can really dial in what you want for a piano. The release is wonderful. If you want, you can go to here to turn on things like pedals. So when you push the sustain pedal, you have rumble, damper, and strings are all separate. Mechanical when you're playing keys. You have it be more on the note on or note off. Here's note off or note on. So and then high pass filtering can get rid of that rumbling. So you can get whatever kind of piano sound you want from it with these controls. It's really impressive. But the thing that makes this famous already, in my mind, is right here, and that's the particles engine. And this takes it into a category. Hey, there you go. Hey, Coxa. Hey, Harold. This is what takes it into really kind of rare air, because it makes it flexible to a whole lot of stuff beyond just being a flexible piano. Turning this on and setting it to strummer and setting this to infinite, Anna. You have all of this stuff happening. And you have different types of sounds you can use tonality-wise. If I want just the bright ones, mallets. Piano. And here's your density and variation. So you could say eighth notes. Just eighth notes. And then you can make it a little bit more towards the particles instead of the piano. Let's make it a little bit darker. And find the right balance. So there's all sorts of experimental things you can try. If you set this the opposite direction, now it's only on the attacks. Turn off the pre-delay. And then it doesn't ring out. So you have decay somewhere in the middle and it plays and then fades out. Or if you put it to infinite, now it's all the time. So this opens up all sorts of great opportunities for my dog is freaking out downstairs. So it's very flexible. It's 15 gigabytes. It's not that expensive considering what you're getting, but is the particle engine some kind of granular synthesis? No, it's just a set of samples, and then it has some sort of an art player of some sort playing them with some like velocity randomizing and density settings. It's a different set of samples. It's not granular synthesis. Nothing like that is happening because that would kill the processing to play all of these notes doing resynthesis. It's a simple trick. You've got 4 different sets of alternative samples that you can turn on that play along with the piano basically. And I'm really curious how they got the striking of the strings with the brush like that. And then you have control over full tonal or just the brushy sound. Another cool trick is to bring the attack up. Right? So you have an amazing 9-foot grand piano and this really cool interactive sample playing of these really cool samples. You've got so much tonality control. On top of this, the effects, there's a filter. So if you want the mallet to be just really muddy, like, then make the piano really dark. And it's not that processor heavy, which is nice. A lot of these have lots of things happening that take processing power, but this is really optimized in a nice way. So I could use this and I could layer Omnisphere with it. Right? I could go over here and I could right click and say I want to go to instruments, and here's Mega Magic Pads. Let's go to an empty space so I can just drag this. I could say Delicate Dancer, and the first thing I have to do is open this up and transpose up an octave, close, and then set it so that it plays on MIDI channel 1 as well. Find the right mix for everybody. It's great. You're going to have so much fun. So what I did, I created these multis, and they are, if you own Mega Magic Pads for Contact 5, which the version for Omnisphere, the full version, the bundle version is only Omnisphere, but if you buy the Omnisphere version, it comes with the Contact version, or you can buy it by itself for a different price on the website. There's 10 multis that set up Noir and different pad sounds from Mega Magic Pads to give you 10 cool layered fun things, so that or else if you want, we did this actually in the video that I just put up. We make this one in person. This is using Battle Porn Bright. Right? Along with the piano. Along with the piano having delay, if we were to mute this, the piano, it's got this delay, it's got the reverb. What's nice with the effects section is you have both algorithmic reverb and you have convolution reverb type of parameters to work with. And you have this really cool delay that can do diffusion, or it can do more normal delays. Where oh, I got to turn it on. You know, stuff like that. So it's really nice. I was very impressed and inspired, and decided to do a little bonus thing for the video I wanted to do. I like to try to tie something in that I have at my site to stuff that other people are releasing. So it was cool to see that Mega Magic Pads and Noir worked really well together, and so I made a little bonus thing for those of you that do get Noir and have Mega Magic Pads. So that's there. There's a video I just posted with more information on that if you like. And that's from Native Instruments. It works in the free Contact player, but if you want to use these presets, you have to have the full version of Contact 6 because Mega Magic Pads doesn't work under the free Contact player. So while Noir will work with the free Contact player, if you want these presets to work, you have to own the full version of Contact 6. So just to be clear. What is the time? This started at 12 Pacific Daylight Times. Yeah, people have different times, companies, for when they do sales, and Native Instruments is kind of famous for holiday sales and stuff like that. So Black Friday, that type of stuff, if you want to wait to get it at that time, that's when I'm sure they will probably have some sort of a sale thing happening. The other big news that just came out just before, there's this this really cool event going on in Los Angeles called Synthplex, and they timed it just perfectly, of course, so that they would release the update to 2.6 at the time of Synthplex. So they would have something fun to show at the little show that's going on. So if you're curious, if you have Omnisphere and you're curious, this is normally like, what is this? Let's see, make this go away. I don't remember what its default is, but its default normally is genre. If you want to find the new patches, you can do a couple things. You can just go 2.6 right here, and it will list everything. You can also go over here and go into genre. If you right-click these, there's a whole lot of other settings you can choose from for choosing how it filters and parses the patches. A lot of people don't know this, but you can go over here, you could say mood, and now you're looking at the mood settings for eerie, dreamlike. So here you go, mood. And then if you said 2.6, now it's showing you only the things that are in 2.6 that are eerie. Right? So let's get this, or if you right click and you say version, this way you can just say 2.6 and it will show you all of the patches that have been tagged with 2.6. So all of them show up this way as well. And let's start with the first patch of 2.6. I think this is how it shows up when you call it up. Oh wait, no, Phoenix Rising is first, which is really great. So that's nice. And welcome to 2.6, Stew Beef. And this kind of says, get ready for a whole lot of in-your-face, usable, dancey, cool. Because once you get past the patches that are named this way, they get grouped. And you'll see when you get to like the Ds, there's the, as you go down the list, oh, let's go to 2.6 so we don't see everything. Once you get past this part of the list, it goes Andromeda. So there's a ton of, as you know, the Andromeda is an in-your-face analog synthesizer. The D50, the Deep Mind from Behringer. Gaia is a Roland thing. JDXA is Roland thing. JDXI, JP8000, Juno. And these are just... all that kind of stuff is just waiting to be used. MKS 80, there's a whole bunch of new patches for that. Morpheo, the Korg Roland MS-20. And it sounds like you're playing an MS-20. It's kind of on the edge of falling apart, you know? I think the most anticipated that people are looking for, of course, is the D50 samples. They didn't sample everything from the D50. In fact, not even the partials and stuff aren't in here. From my understanding and going through the list, I've only been able to find D50 patches that they sampled like the best of, but the ones that are there. And they're really, really well recorded. There's no noise like a D50 typically has. So, and then I would suggest when you play these, notice, and most of these are more than one layer. So you can turn one layer off to just hear. And then like in this case, I'd transpose this down a couple octaves. And maybe lessen the reverb that's swimming. Oh, CPU load 100%. Cool. And then turn off layer A and turn on layer B. And you have that to play. So as we go through these, you'll notice this is 3 layers for this. So if you want to just have the glass voices, you could turn off the other 2, and now you have that to work with. Or turn on A and you have Fantasia. And then go to the amp and okay. So there are a lot of patches. Let's see, Polysynth. Steam hybrids. So lots of fun patches to play with. Just explore, have fun with those. My goodness. The new update does sound really good. A lot of people think that it's like maybe one of the most impressive updates to date and free, which is another one of those things you have to do. A serious shout out to Spectrasonics for doing that. When we look at the sequencer in a second, it is a whole new ball game with the sequencer alone. Keep your volume down a little. A lot of these patches are a little louder than... Here's one showing some of the new features in the ARP. And if we go to type, and let's see if is there a place for arpeggiated? BPM, let's say plucked. This new arpeggiator, one of the coolest things for a lot of you is that you can say capture and you can say 2 bars and it has now captured 2 bars that if you go to your sequencer, you can go just take this little plus right here and drag it to your sequencer and boom. It now has taken all of that MIDI. This is one reason why I talked to Eric about this at one point at the NAMM show about if they would ever be able to have separate arpeggiator patterns on the layers. And the answer is no, because it's MIDI data. It's truly, as you can see, recreated. If I turn off the ARP now, so that the ARP is turned off. Oh, of course, I can't put this on an audio track. I need to put it here. Right? It's MIDI data. It captures even pitch bends, all that kind of stuff is all in there. If we were to say, show me pitch bend, view, let's see here. How do we get to pitch bend these days? You have to open oh, we could do it up here, I guess, if we said automation and we said on a region basis and go down here to pitch bend. You can see the pitch bend that was recorded in right? So it's recording pitch bend, all that stuff as data. So it's not one of these things where you can have that happen on 4 different layers, or you're going to have 4 different sets of MIDI data controlling it. So the answer is really easy. If you want to have a pad and an ARP, you go to multi, you go to stack, you turn it on, you go to part 2. You can say, you know, D50. Oh wait, is it D-50 or just D space 50? Oh, come on. Oh, and I'm in version 2.6, type, oh, BPM plugged. Let's just say all. There. So I could say I wanted to have like some sort of a cool pad or a pulse on layer 2 and turn on the ARP to part 1, and now I have an ARP pad. Okay, so the answer is just to use, there's 8 parts up here waiting to be used, computer willing, but that's how you would get something where you have an ARP and you have something else happening as a pad or something like that. It won't ever be where you have separate layers, because especially now with this being fully realized with the MIDI capture down here, that makes it really clear that it's actually MIDI data performing all the parts that are happening, right? Is NOIRE completely different than Maverick? Yes, it's a completely different set of samples. It's a different, it's using, you know, Contact 6 had some abilities that they didn't have in Contact 5 that I think they're using to make NOIRE do what it does. It's a different piano. It was recorded with different techniques. You got to realize with each piano library, they're recorded in different places with different recording techniques, different microphones. They all sound different. So it's just, you know, listen to some YouTube videos, go to a store if you have a place in your area to play them, to find the ones that speak to you, because some will speak to you more than others in different ways. So, you know, that's really something. Someone asked me my preferences between this versus this, and I don't even get into that stuff, because that's not my place. I don't want to sway people one way or another. I just want you to know that NOIRE is out and it's very flexible. Keyscape is out. Maverick is out. Unicorda is out. There's all sorts of companies that have really great pianos. Piano Tech with their DSP physical modeling piano is incredible. And that's a whole different thing, because it's not even using samples. It's using small pieces of samples, I believe. I don't even know how it's doing it. But they're all different. And they all have different, you know, pluses and minuses. And I'm not going to get into talking minuses, because I don't want to affect anybody's sales. I don't want to, that's not my role. You guys need to know what's out there and what your options are, and then it's up to you to decide what you want to do. That's kind of my perspective on this, okay? Yeah. You showed the samples per key last time. I think, how can you access that page? Okay. This is something you can do with virtually any Contact library. Let's open up a new Contact. And let's say NOIRE, and let's say Pure. Some of these, when you get to the strings and they're doing arpeggiated things, and there's a pull down to change between like 12 different string articulations, get really complicated. And so it's harder to see this. But if you hit the little tool wrench right here, no matter what instrument you have, every instrument, no matter who's made it, Heaviosity, all of them, you hit this and you're into the same editor that everybody has to use. Everybody kind of advertises that they've got cool abilities and features, and nobody has cool features and abilities that aren't part of Contact 6 to start with. It's just a matter that it's extremely flexible, and you could do some really cool things. And if you hit Group Editor, this is where all the groups show up. And there are a ton of groups for the dry, all the different resonance, all the different strings, all the different particle engine for the piano, particle engine brush. You see these guys? These are the parts that are used to make this whole boom, right? And how they're set up depends on parameters for the groups. You can click one of these and you can see settings and show group start options, and there's all sorts of things for how they always play. But if you hit mapping editor and go up to group editor and you say select by MIDI, now it will change. But again, there's certain ones where this doesn't work like you expect because they get so complex. But this right now is just piano. So, and if you count these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I didn't count right. 22. Now, if we were to go over here to another piano library, let's say Grandeur, and we drag this over here, and let's say we mute this with the mute button, and we set this to MIDI channel 1. Now we're playing the Grandeur. And if you hit this, now you're looking at the parameters for the Grandeur. So you could go over here, select by MIDI. And this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 velocity sample ranges. So there's Grandeur. Compare that with to me, this NOIRE is more the delicate piano. I don't think you can get that type of personality if you play the Grandeur. It doesn't sit in that lower quiet speaking place. You know, for my go-to, the Grandeur is one of my go-to pianos that I like to use in my own productions a lot. But NOIRE, I think, is going to be able to fit in there really nicely, especially with the flexibility, getting a little brighter. Go over here, bring up a little EQ to bring up some presence and bring up some punch and some bite or something like that. And oh, and unmute it. and it's nice. So they're all different. The philosophy, the religion behind each piano is different. If you hit the tool wrench, you can get into everything you want to see. If you go down the list, you can actually get to where you can get into pretty serious trouble. You could add a filter, low pass filter. Let's say, where did it go? Add, oh, I need to do this to all groups. So that would be group editor, edit all groups. So now I can add a filter, a low pass filter, and it adds one to every group. So now I'm filtering this. If I want, I can hit the mod button right here. I could say add an LFO sawtooth. This is what I did in my video last night. So you can get in and program it like a synthesizer no matter what library it is. If it's a library of really cool orchestral drum sounds, you can still get into a place, go to groups, hit edit all groups. That's the key, because otherwise it only does it to that one group. That's the true power of Kontakt, is every one of those notes across the keyboard could be a whole different filter effect, all that kind of stuff settings. That's how like Mega Magic drums, Mega Macho drums, I have it so that every drum sound you can go through and program it and customize it all you want. Yes. So different samples for the different velocities. Yeah, you can see the different velocities on the mapping editor. And you can even see when you play the little blue, little red marks for which note you're playing. If you want to get even more into this, you can turn on the wave editor. And this lets you see the waveform as well. And if we set it to selected groups, select zone with MIDI, you can see that it actually changes sample depending on what velocity I play. It's actually selecting it in the range and showing the waveform. So then you can edit, you can loop it, you can crossfade. You could take a library and completely mess it up. And then when you're done, go back here to here and say save multi-as and save it as its own new instrument with messed up, because crossfade parameters and sample start and sample stop and all those things are saved into the multi. They don't change the samples. So you can do all sorts of really creative out there things. If you take this, let's do this. Let's say we're editing all groups. Let's go down here. Let's turn off the wave editor and the mapping editor. Let's turn off the filter so that it's not doing that. Right now it's DFD. If you want, you could change this so that everything is going through the MPC60 playback engine. Oh, I didn't. I need to edit all groups and delete that. And then keep that lit and say, change this to be MPC60 for all groups. This group contains purge samples. Oh. I can't change it? Oh. For some reason, I can't change it. Let me see if I reload it. I'm trying to break it, which if you go down here to the playback engine, not there, not the instrument effects. Where is, oh, here we go. Group editor, edit all groups, plain just to be, oh, you can't. Okay, so they have it set up. They have something set with some purge samples or something, so you can't change. But you could change, like if we called up Super Macho drums or something, you can change the drums to actually play through different engines, including, if we close this, you know, live streams, we like to go everywhere. So let's say we go Super Macho drums and we say Moobaton, right? And we open the group editor and say edit all groups. We could change the playback mode that's sampler to time machine. And if you turn off edit all groups, you can now so if you want to make your own new version of dance records and stuff, there's all sorts of playback options available. You can speed everything up, say edit all groups, and play it back fast. Make all sorts of glitchy things, but I love all the every kit that you put through and you do that too is going to sound different. So you can have just boatloads of fun with that alone. Right. So, I mean, we could take off on that tangent forever if we wanted to, but let's not do that. Coming back to where we were, Omnisphere 2.6. There's so many patches. There's like over 500 new patches. Now, this is a cool one. This shows a feature in this arpeggiator that doesn't exist in most arpeggiators unless they get to be more intelligent arpeggiators. This plus is telling it so that you play a chord. Let's do this. Let's call up the little free plugin guru show MIDI. So I can show you by playing keys, right? So if I play a C chord, and then I invert, right? That's not a typical thing an arpeggiator can do, where it says take the lowest note and transpose it up an octave. But that's what this is doing. So If these were off and you use octaves to try to do that, it would sound quite different. None, none. And we said 4 octaves. And let's set the whole thing to chord. Let's see, and 3 octaves. Because chord doesn't do the transposing thing, right? You know? So it's doing something like that, but it's doing these inversions inside of it, which is just great. If we want, we have like all sorts of slides. We could have this slide down. An octave, and then have this one slide up an octave. So there's all sorts of, we'll play with the arpeggiator in specifics all by itself. Yeah. Yes, synthesizers can be overwhelming, and it's very easy to sit and just geek out with them, and it's challenging to get stuff done. There's so many patches that it will take. Let's see. Well, let's see. Does this show the factory patches? See, diagnostics or everything? Let's see. Factory sound sources, factory patches. 10,039 patches now are found inside of Omnisphere. So, congratulations, they have passed the 10,000 point. This one we know from the past, right? So I should say 2.6 so that it just shows me only just the new stuff. So the arpeggiator is a whole new beast. There's so much that can happen. You can play chord. You get chords and single notes. Right? Bouncy Maluk. We played that one earlier. Some phrase chopping. One thing to realize and be aware of is that each of these segments has one thing it can do. You can't do more than one thing on one event. So you can't pitch up and have it play triplets of that at the same time. So if you set this to dividers of 4, then that's what that one will do. And it can't do something else on top of that. Cool. So all sorts of fun things. out there. Ready for techno. So it goes on and on. I mean, my goodness. The Andromeda. Maybe Spectral Science is trying to put me out of business. No, they're supporting their instruments so they sell lots of copies. That's their goal. Yeah, so about the time of these big releases, I don't release new libraries. We released one just before this, which we'll show in a bit, which came out really great, and it's different than anything in this as far as I can tell. There's a lot of really great usable stuff in here. But it's very different than what the ESC created. This library has a whole different personality to it. It plays just along fine. I'm proud of these guys for what they did with this library. It's really fun. And the fact that it's contributed to by all of these different programmers is just awesome, you know? I'm very proud of all of them. So if you don't have the ESC library, it is the best $29 you're going to spend in a long time. I love this. Fun, creative stuff. And it goes on and on in its own right, doing all sorts of very cool. So it's all over the place. But let's get back to the library. I'm going to show you a couple of the cool features. One thing that's being talked about in the programming circles a lot is the bias. I made a patch showing that right here so we could talk about it. It's rather interesting. It is basically a key scaling controller. And how did they do that? How did they pull that off? If you look here in the control list, bias, and let's say cutoff, show the modulation. Here's what they did. So there's a modulation source in the list now that says bias. So if you go here and you say modulate bias right here, and it's key scaling, and you can set a bias point and whether the direction is in the left or the right. So I have a pad sound. And see here the value coming down until right here on E, it's gone. That's because I have it on 4 time. If I didn't have it on 4 time, it comes off. When you get down here, it's only here, but if you hit 4 time, the intensity's all the way at max already. So it hits max and starts to come down kind of in the middle octave range and then quickly go away. I wish I had a 16 time, to be honest, because then you could have like a hard split between 2 notes. And then on the right hand, I have a different sound that has a different bias setting. going in the other direction. So by using this, if I said to the right, it would now be the other direction. And maybe if I invert this and go like that, and to the left, let's see. I had it set earlier and it was working right. But it allows us basically to do things on the keyboard. It's not quite like splitting between two samples, because you're still going to have a place where they both play. Yeah. Libraries, I mean, everybody, it's, you know, everybody's personality and programming is different. And so it's great to have everybody's input and different people contributing to, you know, Omnisphere is such a flexible, powerful synthesizer that it's really cool to see how other people approach it. And so, yeah, it's a must. We'll keep supporting Omnisphere and other libraries and other things coming for sure. You know, there's 10,000 patches and people still buy my libraries. So that's a nice thing, because there's so many patches you could go, well, you don't need any more. But we all know it's not true, because each person's different takes and different libraries can be a different thing. So it's pretty cool. Are there any questions? Are those patches from the Beefy Elysis synth? They are patches, and I should be careful here, but it's not the same as owning an Andromeda. I've played the Andromeda not that long ago, in fact, in Germany, and it rips your head off. These patches, aside from the D50 ones, which are samples of a D50, the Andromeda ones are not samples of an Andromeda for the most part, as far as I know. If I initialize this patch, and if we go over here to 2.6, and we go down here to the Andromeda patches, if you look at what they are doing, they have sampled the waveforms of the Andromeda, but it's not the same engine. So I don't have an Andromeda sitting next to me to compare between them, but they are different personalities. You can definitely say this is inspired by, but there's some unique parameters in the Andromeda, or the DeepMind, or even the D50 if you're on a programming level, since these are samples of patches. And then like stuff here, it's combined with other things. It's not even just the D50 by itself, right? But this is not samples of a DeepMind. It's inspired by, I think this shows off another one of the new features in the arpeggiator, where the arpeggiator can be set to once. If you set this to be loop, now it plays forever. And if you set it to chaos, now it's all over the place. It's randomized, which is fun. If you compared that with random here, you can't do similar. I think you can just call this up while you have another ARP type playing, so it lets you get randomization on anything quickly, which is nice. If we go down to some of these things like the Gaia, yeah, chaos is cool, no doubt. Noise drones. cat eyes. You know, Omnisphere's synth engine is its own personality to everything else, so. All of these that say that they are a synth, again, aside from the JP or the D50, most of them are synthesis-based inspired patches, from what I can tell. I'm not officially a spokesperson, so I am not the final word on that, but that's what I see when I look at these patches and see what's going on. Now, there are samples inside of Omnisphere of some of these synthesizers. So some of these patches are going to be using samples like this one, for example. Juno. Saucer's a guitar center. Cool. Vintage hollow point. Very nice. MKS 80. Now, I do think that they had the synthesizer sitting next to them, so they are probably really close. But again, I'm not a spokesman. Nobody here is being officially saying what the inspiration for these patches were, other than they say a synthesizer name at the beginning. And then we draw a conclusion from that. Tetris? Bird brains. So there's a lot of electronic dancey. Oh, they made the patches where this with the synths where the synths were the controllers. Ah, okay. Probably makes sense because like the MS-20, they're showing, I believe, that even with the MS-20 LFO and different CV controls can now change and control Omnisphere. So it makes sense. Because if you haven't tried it, the second you plug Omnisphere into a hardware synth to control it, it's a different experience because you're working with the interface of a hardware synthesizer, but the sound is coming from Omnisphere. It's very cool. I haven't, it works here with my Moog modular, my Moog Voyager, and with, I believe it works with the Access Virus that I have, but it's really hard to show that live. And so it's really just something really, save it for you guys to all experience. Lots of patches. Yeah. it's cool that they're adding some really cool bases to Omnisphere. They need to do an update to Trillion, if you ask me. Nice. And if you want to know who made the patches, you can go here and hit the little plus button under main. And Eric and Ignacio Longo worked on this together. You see Eric's name a lot. He put a lot of time into making patches for this. There you go. So enjoy the patches. There's no way I can go through all 500. In Wave. Let's look at this. We can see the tags to see. Oh, the Nord Wave. Ah, that's cool. Well, if you ask me, the next effort I hope is into something into the drum category. I mean, I still use Stylus RMX all the time in music productions. So there is so much, the Novation Peak. I have a peak right here next to me. Oh, this is the Pro 2. We lost the peak already. Nice. Pro 2. That's cool. Owie. That's beautiful. How much hard drive space you will need? I am not even sure. I think the download that I did, because it has updates to, it saw updates to other things as well. It was over almost 2 gigabytes, I think. Yeah. About 1 gig just for the 2.6 update. $78. Funny. $79. So it goes on and on. Cool. Beautiful. Who knows? No, the guessing on what they will do next. I mean, they put a lot of time. It's not like they focused on this to get this to be as cool of an update as it is. Very inspiring. Good mix of like out there weird stuff as well as just straight ahead usable stuff. So very well done. Let's look at the arpeggiator for a couple more minutes. Let me see. I'm going to do a quick check. They had their announcement, right? And so let me see here. Sequencer update, hardware integration, new sounds. It's mainly what they're talking about for the update. That's what it really includes as the key stuff. Yeah. Steam folder can get rather carried away in size for sure. Let's make a synth patch real quick. And then let's look at the features that we have. Okay. So let's just do this. Let's set it to be eighth notes and just repeat 2 parts. So we can still transpose up to 2 octaves, right? That's what we could do before. And it used to be you could click and drag, I thought, but now it's on a pull down menu like this. Side, this is the pitch slide or slides, pitch slides. And it does hit the top pitch. And what's interesting with this is I think you can have pitch bend for the synth at like 2. It bounces it back up to 24. If your pitch bend, if you have the ARP doing pitch bendy things, then it needs to set the pitch bend to the range that it works. So let's see if I set this to be 10. And I set this back to 2. I think it will bounce. It bounces it back to 24 because it wants to have the full range in case you change your mind to do something else. Now, if you have this off, now you can set these and the arpeggiator shouldn't. But anytime that you go to the arpeggiator, just so you know, if you add some transpose to even 1 step, watch what happens to this pitch bend. Oh, wait. Oh, not transpose up, but slide. Slide. Boom. It will turn on the pitch bend for you to make sure that it can do what it needs to do to cover this range. So the chords, they have voicings and inversions, which is really cool. So if we said chords, voicing, just chord. There's the version 1 chord voicing, voicing 2. I'm just playing a C chord. And this is what it does. So it's shifting it in chord inversions. So if we said inversion 1 and we open this up to be a couple more and said chords inversion 2, and it does 2 pluses, and inversion 3 is 3 pluses. Okay. Okay. On top of this, you have high and low, where it will play just the highest or the lowest notes. So if you're playing a big chord, you could have it so that for the 2 middle ones, we'll have just play the highest note. So now I'll play a chord for here, just say chord. And if I change it to be low, right? So it takes a look at what you're playing and will only play the top note or the bottom note. And then the step dividers do all sorts of divisions to give you the, I can't remember the correct, you guys tell me the name. What's the name for this? I can't remember. What's the technical word for that in modular synth land? I can't remember. Anyway, you can do 2s, divided by 3, divided by 4. Question about Omnisphere performance. Better to play it off an SSD internal drive or external? I am not sure how much of a difference that makes. It will load faster SSD wise as far as just loading things up. But once it's loaded into memory, it's all the processors more than the SSD drive itself, as far as I understand. But once you have an SSD drive, you can't go back because they are lovely. Now, if we say rise by 2, just so we can hear what this does. Let's get rid of this actually. So let's say delete this and hold down Shift. Let's make this long. You can get softer on the first one than the second one. So these are the rises. So it's dividing it into 4 and doing rising. Or it can do falling. Yeah. If you can get an SSD drive, I mean, your computer system starts, everything is so much more snappy. You'll be like you have a whole new computer, because so much time on a computer is spent for the hard drive to power up, spin up to speed, so it's at the right speed because it goes to sleep sometimes, then to access things and load them. And when you're dealing with things that are, can get to be fairly large amounts of memory, it is a noticeable difference. So as you can see, with those tools, you can go through and do all sorts of really cool things. Let's see if we say ARP. Isn't there ARP here? Yeah, say ARP. And we can say version, 2.6. Let's see, 2.6. Oh, they don't have anything under the ARP there, but this ARP, do they? Hello? Arpeggiated. I guess these are things that I've used for terminology, so that not ones that Spectrasonics uses. ARP and no. I was gonna see if we can find some examples to go through, but I'm kind of drawing a blank here because of how this is working. Type, let's say back to all, and 2.6. And then we could say type once we've gotten to this, and maybe then it will show us the chance to There we go. So do this. You would say version 2.6 and then type BPM ARPs, Anna. And you can see. Oh, I love Do the Dishes. You gotta find this on a plate if you haven't. Using that. More staccato. On German Fist Pump was another one I wanted to show you guys. That's pretty cool. Glitter Not Gold. Inside the Bottle. Simple. And then complex. Jambalaya Gig. Or Jig. So there's so many patches. You'll spend days just going through. All right, so it's an incredible update. It's free to everybody that owns Omnisphere 2. It's a no-brainer to update because it seems a little bit more easy on the CPU, and the new patches and the D50 samples and the completely new arpeggiator features are just killer. Any questions from you dudes that are out there? Shoot them out. Ask away. I take something like this and set to chaos. And now you got really kind of fun messed up. Yeah. I love it. The whole group is like talking about SSD drives. It's cool. That's what we're here for. This is just a get together once a week. You guys can talk about whatever you want. I don't mind. I'll just play sounds. And some of these are really fun to just take and then go like, okay, well, that's what they did with it. What would I want to do with this? I'd want to use maybe the radio delay. Quarter notes. And then I would want to go, let's say reverb. It's be nice and bright. And then let's modify this with an LFO. And let's say we want it to be legato, synced to like half notes and doing this type of. Now I might want to do something like where I also have something to make this more noticeable. It's not noticeable enough yet. So let's go modulate that with the same LFO1. And we can see how well that works in a music context. If you own something like Airwave, turn on stack mode, go to part 2, go to one of our crazy libraries. Airwave Volume 1 is still an absolute favorite. Let's see, we're going to go through here and just say all, and no D50 here. Go down here to kick. And then I think we have it loaded in here, so let's have some more fun. We could load up a loop from Airwave Volume 3 loops. Oh, I don't have the samples looped in there. I think I have Beautifully Broken. So we could say Beautifully Broken, choose a drum loop from here. I want it to be more broken, so I'm going to take it down in pitch. And then let's go to the ESC. Let's add some fun ESC on top of this. Let's find some kind of a cool BPM bass. Let's play the mix. Cool. Let's go here, take it down an octave more. Cool. So there's so much, I mean, my gosh, you just get lost when you get all these libraries going. Let's go to stack mode. Let's add one more part 5. And let's go over here to like Mega Magic Violin. And I'm on multis, so I want to make sure I'm on part 5 so I don't look at multis because I don't want to replace it and go violin. Oh, we just hit a wall. What's going on effect-wise? Oh, this might be... The first thing to do if you hit a polyphony wall, like all of a sudden you load up something and my polyphony is running out, right? You can go to voices and just give yourself like 3 voices if it's like an arpeggio pattern like this. And because it's busy part, you might not need more than 2 or 3 voices of polyphony since it's in a mix. And now you can play something that still keeps working. You know, how well it works is depending on what you're trying to do with it. But there's all sorts of places. Right? And we started with So it's so much fun to play. All these libraries, they bring different things to the table. There's things Beautifully Broken is doing that ESC is doing differently. That they're two different things compared to the factory patches that come with Omnisphere. It's a community. Everybody's from a different planet, and they all work together and like each other. So there you go. All right, shout out. Everybody do your shout outs from your hood. Where are you guys at? I'm shouting out from Portland, Oregon. Oh. By the way, let me show you something since I'm into photography and a lot of you like to see what's going on. I went to the, we have cherry blossoms happening right now. And so I went down to the waterfront last night and took some photographs. This one's really cool. This is a 5-minute exposure. You can see the water's all nice and blurred and all this stuff happens when it's a really long exposure. This person sat there for 5 minutes. I can't believe that when I saw that. This photo right here shows a really cool like rainbow kind of thing that was happening right here in the background. It just lasted the whole time. So yeah, it was a really fun evening. We're expecting rain to start on Monday for 7 days straight. So it was a nice chance. You can see that the cherry blossoms are so new that there's hardly any on the floor. So I've never been there at this time of the year to see them. So it was really fun to go last night and take pictures of them. So that was fun. All right, where are you guys shouting out from? Santa Clara, Thailand, Holland, Ottawa, Canada, Munich, Bavaria. Quebec, Phoenix, Norway. Yeah, I have my ticket to Super Booth. I'm coming to Super Booth. So all of you in Europe, make sure you come to Super Booth so we can say hi. It looks like, well, I won't announce it yet, but there's a good chance I'm going to be at a booth of a dear friend of mine that I met last time I was in Berlin on this last trip. And they are going to allow me to share some news and do a show once a day from there. I have something cool I am working on, my first retail little plugin that I'll be showing. And so we will be having some fun times. Good times all around. All sorts of cool things going on. Netherlands. I had to tell my buddy as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Be well. Cheers to all. Thank you for joining us for this live stream. It's beer 30. I like that. I like that. Thank you, Ivar. Thank you, everybody. We will see you all soon. Cheers. Bye. And don't forget, sale ends Sunday night. ESC goes back to its $39 price instead of $29 tomorrow night. Yay for 10 years in business, and the next 10 are just getting ready to look really great. So we'll keep right on rocking. All right. So be well. See you later. Bye.